It started as a normal day at Westbrook High School. The halls were noisy, students chatting, laughing, and rushing to their classes. But suddenly the loudspeaker crackled, and the principal's voice came through cold and serious. "Attention, all students and staff. Due to an unexpected security threat, the school is now on lockdown. Please remain in your current classrooms until further notice." No one knew what was happening. The teachers tried to keep everyone calm, but whispers and nervous glances filled the air. The doors were locked from the outside, and the windows sealed tight. Phones lost signals inside the building. It was like the school became a prison. Among the students trapped inside was Maya, a quiet girl who always kept to herself. She sat near the window in room 204, watching the dark clouds gather outside. The air suddenly felt heavy, like something bad was waiting. Minutes turned to hours. The lights flickered once, twice, then went out completely. The room was swallowed by darkness. Maya's heart pounded. She heard faint noises, footsteps in the hallway, a low whisper that seemed to call her name. "Who's there?" Maya whispered, but no answer came. The silence was broken only by a cold breeze sliding under the door. Suddenly, the sound of a scream echoed through the halls, a sharp, desperate scream that froze everyone in place. Maya's eyes widened. She wasn't alone. She stood up and pressed her ear to the door, trying to listen. More footsteps, soft but fast, moved away. Then something scratched against the wall outside, slow, dragging sounds. It was as if invisible fingers were trying to get in. Maya tried to calm herself. "It's just my mind playing tricks," she thought. But deep down, she knew something was wrong. The school was alive and angry. From that moment, the lockdown was no longer about safety. It was about survival. The lights stayed out. Darkness wrapped the school like a thick, suffocating blanket. Maya's eyes slowly adjusted to the blackness, but it was useless. The hallways outside her classroom were pitch black, empty, and silent again. Too silent. She pressed her back against the cold wall, her breath coming out in quick, shaky gasps. The scream she heard before was still ringing in her ears, sharp and full of fear. Who had screamed? And why? Maya's phone was dead. No signal, no flashlight. The only sound now was the soft thumping of her own heartbeat. She wished the teachers would say something, give some news, but all she heard was silence. Then a sudden noise came from the hallway. A slow creak, like a door opening. Her eyes widened. No one was supposed to be out there. The lockdown meant everyone was locked inside. "Hello?" she whispered, her voice barely a breath. "Is someone there?" The silence answered back. Then faint footsteps. Slow, dragging, as if someone or something was moving without lifting their feet properly. The sound got closer, stopping right outside her classroom door. Maya's hand reached out, trembling toward the doorknob. It was locked tight. She could hear breathing, heavy, slow, almost unnatural. Suddenly, the classroom window shattered with a loud crash. Glass flew everywhere, cutting through the darkness like tiny stars exploding. Maya screamed and dropped to the floor, covering her head. From the broken window, a cold wind blew in, carrying whispers. Soft voices speaking a language she couldn't understand, but full of anger and pain. Maya scrambled to her feet, heart pounding so hard she felt it might burst. She needed to get out of that room, but the hallway was too dark, too dangerous. Then the lights flickered on for a moment, just enough to see a shadowy figure standing in the hall. It was tall, thin, and moving slowly like a ghost. Its eyes glowed faintly red, and its mouth opened in a silent scream. Maya froze. The figure didn't move closer. It just stood there, staring. Then it vanished, like smoke disappearing into the air. Her breathing was ragged. She knew she had to leave the classroom, but every step toward the door felt like walking through a nightmare. The walls seemed to close in, the shadows stretching toward her. Suddenly, the intercom crackled to life. "This is the principal," the voice said, distorted and distant. "Do not leave your rooms. Stay calm." But something was wrong. The voice sounded cold, almost fake. Maya's eyes darted around. She wasn't alone in the room. A whisper behind her said, "Help me." She spun around, but nothing was there. She was trapped. The school was trapped, and whatever was in the dark had just begun to wake. Maya's hands trembled as she pressed herself against the cold classroom wall. The shadowy figure she saw vanished, but the fear it left behind stayed with her like a heavy weight. Her mind raced, trying to make sense of everything: the screams, the broken window, the strange voice on the intercom. Was the principal really trying to help? Or was someone else using his voice? The darkness seemed to breathe, the black halls alive and watching. Suddenly, a soft tapping noise came from the corner of the room. Slow, deliberate. Tap, tap, tap. It was too steady to be the wind. Maya's eyes fixed on the corner where the classroom walls met. There, faint letters began to appear on the peeling paint. Words written as if by invisible fingers. "Get out." Her throat tightened. The letters glowed faintly red before fading away. Maya swallowed hard, then heard it, whispering, so low she almost missed it. The voices came from the walls themselves, hundreds of soft voices, crying and begging, repeating the same words over and over. "Please don't stay." She covered her ears, but the voices only grew louder. Her heart pounded like a drum. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Suddenly, the classroom door rattled violently, as if something tried to break it down. Maya backed away, nearly tripping over her chair. "Let me in! Let me in!" the voices whispered, mixing with the banging. She looked out the broken window. The hallway was still dark, but faint, glowing eyes watched from every shadow. Maya knew she couldn't stay here. She had to move. She grabbed her backpack and slowly opened the door, stepping into the cold hallway. The floorboards creaked under her feet, echoing through the silence. The air was thick and smelled like old dust and something rotten. Ahead, the hall stretched endlessly, doors closed tight on both sides. The red emergency lights flickered weakly, barely lighting the path. Maya walked carefully, every step filled with dread. Suddenly, a cold hand grabbed her ankle. She screamed and fell to the floor, crawling away fast. Looking down, she saw nothing but a cold, dark shadow disappearing into the cracks between the floorboards. "Who's there?" she shouted, but no answer. Then, from the classroom behind, a soft, desperate scream echoed again, the same one she heard earlier. But now it sounded closer, like it was right behind her. Maya ran. Her feet pounded the floor, echoing through the endless dark corridors. But the school wasn't empty. Faint footsteps followed her, slow and dragging. And from every shadow, dozens of glowing red eyes watched, waiting. Maya's breath came in short, sharp bursts as she ran down the dark hallway. The cold air hit her face like icy knives. Behind her, the slow, dragging footsteps grew louder. She didn't dare look back. She knew whatever followed her was not human. The red emergency lights flickered, casting twisted shadows on the cracked walls. Doors lined both sides of the corridor, all locked tight, except one, a door slightly ajar at the far end. A faint light spilled out from the crack. Her heart screamed at her to keep running, but her feet moved toward the door like they had a mind of their own. Slowly, she pushed it open. Inside was a small room she had never seen before. The walls were covered with old newspaper clippings, yellowed and torn, taped carefully in rows. Photographs of students and teachers, some smiling, some crying, others blurred beyond recognition. Maya's eyes caught a headline: "Mysterious Disappearances at Westbrook High." Another said, "Lockdown Tragedy. forgotten victims. Her hands trembled as she scanned the room. There was a desk in the corner covered in dust. On it lay an old journal with a cracked leather cover. She opened it. The handwriting was shaky, but clear. The school is alive. It holds the pain of all who suffered here. When the doors lock, the past wakes. They are trapped between walls and time. We tried to escape, but the school never lets go. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind. Her Maya spun around, heart pounding. The room grew colder. The lights flickered violently, and the whispers returned. Louder, desperate. She grabbed the journal and ran to the door, but it wouldn't budge. The walls seemed to close in. Shadows moved like hands, reaching for her. The whispering grew into screams. Then, from the corner, a figure appeared. A girl, pale and thin, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. "Help us," the ghostly girl whispered. "We're trapped. Forever." Maya's legs shook. She wanted to run, but she was frozen. The ghost reached out her hand, cold as ice. "Find the key," she said. "The school's secret key. Only it can stop this." Maya nodded, clutching the journal tight. Suddenly, the door creaked open. The shadows retreated. The cold lifted. A little. She stepped out, but the hallway was different. Darker, longer, as if the school had shifted. Her nightmare was far from over. Maya's hands were shaking as she clutched the old journal. The ghost girl's words echoed in her mind. "Find the key! The school's secret key!" But where? How could she find a key in a school that felt like a maze trapping souls? The hallway ahead stretched endlessly, shadows deeper than before. The flickering red lights cast long fingers of darkness that seemed to reach for her. She moved cautiously, each step sounding loud against the cracked floor. The whispers returned, urgent and pleading, like a storm of voices trapped in the walls. Suddenly, she noticed something she hadn't before, a small metal box half hidden under a loose floorboard. Her heart jumped. She knelt and pried it open. Inside was a rusty old key, cold and heavy in her palm. A sudden chill rushed past her, and a faint voice whispered, "Use it before it's too late." Maya's grip tightened around the key as the school began to change. The walls closed, in tighter, the hallways twisting, the ceiling lowering. The air grew thick and suffocating. She ran, following the feeling that the key belonged to one of the locked doors. Ahead was a massive door she hadn't seen before, the old library's main entrance. The keyhole gleamed in the dim light. Her hands trembled as she inserted the key and turned it slowly. A loud click echoed, and the door creaked open to reveal a hidden room filled with old photographs, forgotten student belongings, and, at the center, a dusty, cracked mirror. Maya stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind her. In the mirror, she saw reflections moving on their own, faces of students and teachers, trapped in time, screaming silently. Suddenly, a dark shadow lunged from the mirror. She stumbled back, heart pounding. Then, she remembered the journal's last line, "Face the past to break the curse." Maya looked into the mirror and shouted, "I'm not afraid of you! Let them go!" The shadow screamed, a sound like breaking glass, then shattered into thousands of shards of darkness. Light flooded the room. The trapped faces smiled and slowly faded. Their pain lifted. The door opened. Maya stepped out, the school now quiet and still. The lockdown was over. Outside, the sun was rising. Students and teachers rushed in relief. But Maya knew the truth. The school's darkness was real. And it was waiting for the next lockdown.